Hi, Tom Cole for Lourdes University Spotlight, and Terry and I have a very special guest here today from Lourdes University, Kristin Blochowski. And Kristin, we were talking off air, I'd like to put it on air. You teach the justice side of courses here at Lourdes.
Correct.
And then Terry and I then asked, well, what is that? And so you tell the folks, what comprises the justice courses at Lourdes?
Well, our department is called Criminal and Social Justice, and we recently changed that name because we really wanted to focus on that social justice side. Yes. We want our law enforcement officers, probation officers, corrections officers to go out there and know how to interact with people, build relationships, how to understand, diversity in different groups of people, and basically just act with kindness.
Yeah, and Kristin, this is so interesting to me because my daughter's in your profession, so she's a lawyer and she's a judge and all that and so forth. But I get a lot of the stories of the things that probably you deal with. You're teaching our police officers to be better police officers, to be good police officers, and I don't think anyone goes into police work saying, gee, I hope to be a bad officer. It's like a teacher. I don't know anyone who goes, gee, I hope I bunk everybody, and I really hope I'm a bad teacher and people hate me. People go into law enforcement because they want to make a difference. They want to improve society. They want to do all the right things. That being said, you're in a position, and maybe there's not many more important issues today than teaching police officers, men and women, how to handle situations, how to diffuse situations, how to speak to people, and talk a little bit about that.
That is one of the keys. One of the things that we are really focusing on is there's a warrior mentality that you're going out where you're fighting everybody and it's us against them, versus a guardian mentality, and so we're trying to change that. And trying to teach communication skills like the de-escalation.
Yes.
A police officer can go a long way just by keeping their tone of voice down. And that sounds simple, but when you're in those situations that are unfolding so fast.
Because they're in uniform anyway.
Correct. Exactly.
From the start. So
that
could be a little intimidating from the start.
Exactly, with all the gun and the taser and everything on.
No question. Well, and again, police, you teach it so effectively and so well here at Lourdes, but they have such a tough job. You pull somebody over at night, it's dark, maybe you're a lone officer, you see the car, maybe they open their door and maybe they're reaching into a pocket, maybe they're reaching under the seat. It could be for a wallet, it could be, but you're the police officer, what are you thinking? And I know a lot of police officers and they're great people, but I know the credo is, most important thing is you come home at night, right?
It is.
So that mentality, there isn't a lot of room in there to say, well, let me just see what develops here. So how do you talk them through those kind of things?
We try, and obviously they have to go home at night.
Yes.
And so officer safety is the number one thing. I just had a former student that sent me a message yesterday, actually, that he had been in his second police shooting. And I mean, many retire never having fired their weapons, so that's rare. But with things that are unfolding so quickly, you just look for intent. You look at, it's not just reaching. That is definitely something that you have to be aware of, but just because somebody's reaching for something doesn't mean that they have the intent to use a weapon on you. And it's so hard because
I can imagine.
in that split second,
you have to make a
turn
decision
around with a weapon.
Right.
So.
Well, I just wanted to kind of touch base on, I noticed from your bio, you get involved in suicide prevention, I believe.
Yes.
And that is so interesting. It kind of ties in with the work that you do anyway.
It does.
But just tell us a little bit about that, if you will. So what does that entail?
Well, I work with the Lucas County Suicide Prevention Coalition. I'm just a volunteer with them. Yeah. And we go into elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and talk to
In the city of Toledo?
Yes, City of Toledo. I mean, all the suburbs.
Throughout the district?
Yeah,
Okay.
all over. Yeah, and Lucas County.
Okay.
And talk to teachers, students, give them like the age-appropriate information about how to prevent suicide, and then tell teachers like what things to look for, how to help their students. So,
Right.
and of course, definitely emphasizing that they're not counselors,
Yes.
but if you see someone in crisis, trying to help them.
You know, because that's a subject that has escalated over the years with fatalities and everything else. You know, people self-harming and you know, that is in our schools right now, much more than it used to be.
Yeah.
So that is very important.
Second leading cause of death between 10 and 24 right now. Yeah.
And that never used to be the case
No,
when we
no.
were in school.
Yeah.
We've got so much more opportunity for individuals to interact with social media, and
A lot of
it's-
bullying going on.
right, and adults not being aware of what's going on. So I think that's a lot of it. We also have a lot more awareness of like our LGBTQ population. Yeah, and they unfortunately are at a much higher risk for suicide. So we pay special attention to that.
Well, congratulations. That's quite an honor.
Kristin, the great teaching work that you're doing here at Lourdes in the Justice Department, does media, been in media for a long time, like 30 years, and is it a help-hurt situation for you? The police officers, with the body cams, now everything is recorded.
Right,
and I think much better than I, obviously, but sometimes those cameras, even when it's on camera, it may not depict exactly what happened because of the angle that it's shot, and I get that.
Yeah, we had an incident in Toledo years ago where it looked like a police officer was just like beating someone, and what you couldn't see was that the officer's thumb was in the individual's mouth,
Right.
and you couldn't see that.
The camera angle is everything, and then the media in general. I think we have the best media in the world. I mean, they do a great job, and I know the good and the bad of media, but we're the best country in the world with media. But is that more pressure on officers that everything is reported on cable news 24/7, 7 days a week? Do they feel, is it when you're teaching these students, do you explain to them the stress that they're going to be under in these jobs?
Definitely. It is. If you are out doing your job, you are being watched, assume you're being filmed. And I think that's a good thing, though, because it's a deterrent from negative behavior. So I don't teach that as a negative. I teach that as do what you're going to do and do it right, and it's positive.
If you're doing good things, if you're doing what you should be doing, it shouldn't bother you that things are being watched and recorded, right?
Yeah. The one issue with media is, and it's not our local media, but I was watching a national network talk about stop and frisk the other night.
Yes.
And they were recording it improperly.
Right.
And they were just saying that stop and frisk in general is bad and not explaining how it was being used improperly in New York City. That the policy of New York City was what was bad and they weren't using it. And because of their policy, it was racial profiling.
Right.
Yeah. So that was
Well,
definitely.
we've heard a lot of commonalities since we've been doing these interviews. So what I want to ask you is, what is some of the positive things that you've experienced here since you've been at Lourdes?
At Lourdes, we have a great student body. They are eager to learn. They definitely come to you with questions. They're just a really good group of students. Our small atmosphere, though, is something that I really appreciate because I do think they feel more comfortable
Attention to detail.
approaching professors.
Right.
Yeah. The small classrooms, you get to know your students a lot better. So those are all positive things.
Yeah, of course they are. And it's funny, isn't it, too, because it's ran across pretty much all the interviews.
Yeah, it's been a commonality in the interviews, and you can see, Kristin, when you're talking about your classes, it's funny, sometimes you don't even know you're doing it on camera, but the smile comes to your face. And I know I've taught for a long time. I know what that smile is. That smile is you're thinking of the students that you teach every day and how good they are, and the good feeling you have that you're helping them. That you're helping them with a vision, you're helping them with a path, and helping them maybe in a career that is going to be their entire life, and improving society. So you're in a great job here at Lourdes. Yeah.
My first group of seniors, I came in when they were freshmen.
Yep.
They're
Oh,
seniors
that's
now, and
nice.
I'm watching this first group graduate. So to see them change from freshman to senior year, it really is amazing.
That must be such a feel-good factor. It has to be.
It definitely is. And this group is just, they're special to me. Yeah.
I mean, we've really enjoyed doing these interviews. I even want to enroll in country.
You should. Criminal justice.
That's funny. Kristin, you're such a talented lady, and you're doing a remarkable job at Lourdes. Great teacher, a lawyer, former FBI person. It's great when students. I think it's a lot like coaching. Your husband was a great coach at St. Francis, and they were BCSN broadcaster. He was a star on our network.
By the way, did I play against her husband? Do you remember?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't think so.
He's a little younger than me.
You're an old guy.
Yeah, I know.
You're an old guy.
Yeah, I figured that.
Okay, but when you know that you're that you know what you know. Students, when they have somebody that's actually done it, they've been a lawyer, been FBI, then that carries a certain gravitas with it in the classroom, and it does, as opposed to somebody, and nothing pejorative, but somebody that's read a book on it. You had that experience, and from a teaching standpoint, I know what that means. Suddenly, you get instantaneous respect in the classroom, and it can make you a lot more effective.
It definitely allows me to look at real life examples of the things that I'm teaching.
And that resonates with kids. It's not just something in a book far away, but hey, this happened back in 1997.
No, don't say the years.
Well, you're young. Cherry's old. Cherry's old. Hey, we just got to tell the truth. He's old. That's
Yes.
He's got to.
take it.
Kristin, he's got to learn to accept it. We're working on acceptance, and he's got to learn to accept it. Listen, on behalf
I already know.
on behalf, I'm calling Terry old. On behalf of Terry and myself, congratulations on the career you've got at Lourdes and the great job you're doing to help the student body. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Tom Cole for the Lourdes Spotlight.